Ahoy!
Swiggity swooty, we're on YouTube.
Sometimes I just really don't have any idea what he's going to say next.
Yeah, neither do I. Really.
Video lecture 7, percent comp.
Right. I love percentages. You want to know why?
Why?
You calculate them the same way every time.
Every time.
Every time.
Times 100.
And this is what you do on your math tests, your chemistry tests. What's my score, mister? Part that you scored right, by the part that the whole test was on, times 100, you got it. So,
Basics.
let's hit it up real quick. All percent calculations are, like I said, part divided by whole times 100.
Pretty basic.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. In this case, though, the whole is going to be that gram formula mass, the GFM, that we learned to calculate a few videos ago.
Because what we're talking about figuring out percentages-wise is what percentage of a mole of a compound is due to hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, like one part of it.
Right. So when we say, like, what's the percent of carbon in carbon dioxide, the whole thing is the gram formula mass of carbon dioxide.
And the part is the part that's carbon.
Right.
So there it is.
Yeah, and we find those parts when we do this,
Mm-hmm.
so it actually goes pretty quick. My turn at the board?
I think it's your turn at the board.
All right, sweet. We're going to find out each element this time?
Yes. So we have to start with gram formula mass. So what Mr. Milks is doing is setting it up to find out the number of each type of element. Yes.
Good so far?
He's got one of each. And this is the same example we've been using throughout the videos, so that's why we're getting kind of fluent, 19 for fluorine.
Thank you.
We're getting kind of fluent with figuring out that gram formula mass for sodium fluoride is 42 grams per mole. Now,
That's my total.
that's his total. And
guess-
now-
look at, here's my parts.
There's your parts too. So if you had to figure out the part that was due to percent of sodium, he's going to write a percent sign, then sodium, percent Na. He's going to do the part that was Na, 23, divided by the whole, which is 42, and 23 divided by 42
Times 100.
times 100, yep, don't forget, times 100 equals the percentage that's the sodium. And the percentage that's the fluorine is going to be the part that's the fluorine, in this case, 19, divided by the 42 that was the whole mole, times 100, and you get the percentage. Mr. Milks, should these two percentages add up to 100?
They should always add up to 100.
Yep.
So
Make sure, check your work, your math, and your order of operations by taking all your percentages and adding them up. If they don't equal 100 or 99.9999, then you know you've made a mistake. Now, we want you to do water, H2O, and magnesium carbonate, because these ones don't require any parentheses or any distribution of subscripts. Now, we're going to do the calcium nitrate with you, because I know that not everybody's got the whole distributing the subscript back yet. So the first step in gram formula mass is always, always, always count your atoms. So he counted calcium right. He's also counted nitrogen right, and now he's counted oxygen right as well. So now the second part in gram formula mass, which is the first part of percent composition, is to multiply by the mass of each of the elements. He's remembering these from a previous video where we did one. And 6 times 16, that was 96. Okay. Adds them all together. What do we get? 164 grams per mole. So now we know that 1 mole of calcium nitrate weighs 164 grams. To do the percentages, that's calcium, you take the part that was calcium, in this case 40. We'll say 40 divided by the whole, 164. And then multiply that result by 100 equals the percent that was due to calcium. The next he's going to do is the percent that was due to nitrogen and the percent that was due to oxygen. Just correcting it up here. So for percent nitrogen, it won't be 40 over 164. It'll be 28 over
It
164.
won't even be 14 either.
Nope, it'll be 28.
They
That's
want
right.
to use this number.
Learn from our mistakes. Here we are checking each other's work as we go, and we still can make very easy, simple clerical errors. So you
These are
gotta
the-
work
actually the
slow
most common errors too. Right?
and check your work. The mistakes we're making are the same ones I know you're gonna make. So just go slow and steady and practice till you can't get it wrong. Always check your work by adding your 3 percentages to see if you're at 100%. Because if you are, then you did it right.
Right. It's got to be 100% every time.
So remember,
There's a simple error somewhere if you didn't.
percent composition, just a basic formula, is what percentage of the formula's mass is due to each element.
Right.
But there's a little bit more, and we're actually going to do a lab on percent composition of what we call a hydrate. What is a hydrate, Mr.
Well,
Miller?
it's just got a water kind of bound up inside with the molecules.
So you mean like when you hydrate, you're adding more water to you?
Kind of, but it's not. That's not bound to you. So that's water separate. This is water bound into the actual molecule.
So the molecule traps water,
Right.
and it traps a certain amount of water,
Right.
which we can then figure out in percentage-wise the composition.
Right. So the process is going to be pretty much the same. What you need to know is that the dot in between there, that's a ratio dot. For every one copper sulfate, there's 5 waters.
Right.
So it doesn't mean multiply by 5 waters. We're going to add the whole thing up, and then part over whole times 100. In this case, the mass is going to be, the part's going to be water.
And so another way of saying that is 1 molecule of copper sulfate soaks up 5 molecules of water. Yeah, he likes doing the percentages, so he likes writing math. So we're going to do percent water and copper sulfate. And the first thing you've got to do is find out the gram formula mass of copper sulfate pentahydrate. And so he's doing this. He's counting atoms, counting moles, figuring it all out together. Okay. Now copper, he's got 1. Sulfur, he's got 1. Oxygen, he's got 4. Now for H2O,
I have 5.
5 H2O molecules,
And I know from earlier, water is
18 grams per mole. So he knows
I'm gonna go ahead
water
and put
weighs
that right
18
in.
grams from 18 grams per mole.
Yep.
gram
I need
formula.
copper and sulfur quick.
Copper is 64,
Okay.
and sulfur is 32. Okay, so now he's going to multiply these across.
Okay, 64.
32, and then another 64.
64.
Yep.
Okay, good.
And
what is 5 times 18? It's got to be 40,
It's 90.
50.
it's the same as 9 times 10.
Okay.
90.
Okay. I'm trusting you on this one.
You got it.
Marco.
Going to have to trust me on this one.
Oh boy, I'm trusting
Now
you.
we
Okay,
add this
these
all
up.
up to find out
Okay, so I see
what
10,
the total mass is.
10 and 9, 250 grams.
Right. So 1 mole of copper sulfate pentahydrate weighs 250 grams. Now the question is asking, what's the percentage of that compound
Is all of that.
that's just the water?
And
So
here's the trick. It's right there.
it's right there for you. So now you just do part divided by whole. So the percent H2O is going to be 90 divided by 250 times 100. And I know for a fact that this one, since we've done it so many times, comes to be about 36%. I want to see an actual calculation in your notes.
Right.
90 divided by 250
Wait,
times
and,
100.
and how about you do?
You do. Do it exactly the same way that we just did the example for you. But this time you're going to do 2 times 18 instead of 5 for the part that's due to the water.
Right. And don't forget, we already did calculate water. It's one to remember. It's 18 grams per mole. You don't have to recalculate.
Hey, we got a
every
guest
time.
star here.
Hi.
Who's that walking through our video?
Mr. McCaffrey,
Hey, Mr. McCaffrey.
You want to say hi?
Want to say hi?
some awesome chemistry going on here.
Yeah, just say hi.
Nice. Hey, guys.
Talk to the webcam.
Hi, webcam.
It's recording.
Oh, it's live. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
All right. So
Okay.
thanks, Mr. McCaffrey. We got a couple pages of practice in the book, 22 and 23.
the Google Classroom assignment, and
Neat.
we's done.
You need a calculator and a periodic table.
Thank you, guys.
You got that? Got that? He's so much better at this part.